I did put some of the grass in for now, just to get it started. And I included the trees. I didn't have to. I could have done the mountains first, which is what I'm going to do next. So I'm going to do the lightest color first. And I think I'm going to do a very light ultramarine. Especially because that's going to be the very farthest mountains. So I want them to be just a little bit darker than the sky. Okay. And then they'll get darker as they come forward. So I'm making the next bunch. It's a little bit more of a, let's see. Ooh, is that right? The farthest is those. Oh, okay, never mind, I see. I got myself confused. I'm gonna make that part of this, actually. Okay, the next set is these. That makes more sense. That's these, this, and some of this. And then the next one, I'm going to make, since it's closer, I'm going to add a little bit of maybe purple to it. Oh, I guess I did a little bit more green than I wanted to. I had a little bit of iridium. That's okay. That's okay too. Make it a little bit more purple. And I can go behind these trees. I think it's okay. That's okay. And I'm not sure how dark I want those other trees that are going to be in the distance, so I think I'll skip them. So it just gives me like that little sense of something in the distance. Then for those trees, let's go with the Viridian, and I think I better put a little blue in there. I guess I'm going to see what happens if I put the ultramarine with the Viridian. Let's see. Now this is going to be, they're all wet, so there might be some bleeding, and I don't think I care about that too much. I could leave a little bit of some of the white of the dry paper. It's watercolor, so I don't think that matters. And if it bleeds in, that's okay too, because it'll just look like the trees are they're just soft. I think that'll be okay. Let's see. Okay, I'm buying it. It's not bad. All right, so let's leave that for now. And also, I don't like this so stark. So I'm going to just wet my brush, and I'm going to just put a little bit of wet water across that edge, so it's a little bit of a softer edge. I just don't want it to be that stark, a contrast there. Okay. All right, so now I just wet that too. So now I'm thinking that I'm going to go right into it because there's a little bit of wet here. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not. I am going to pause and I'm going to dry again. All right, so I'll be back. Let's see, I'm pausing this. Okay, I'm back. That didn't take that long because it was a small amount. The next thing I think I want to do is these. So again, I still want them to feel as though they're farther away. So I'm using more of the Viridian kind of green. And I can put that in that's the far one, but I could put that in the close one too. Because I'll go over that. But that way I don't have such a stark change between the two. I'm just kind of making it look like it's, got a, not a hard edge. Also, I think I'll do the same little trick there, make it soft so that it blends into the bottom. I'm going to come back to these when they dry to make this look a little darker than that. So these guys, they're going to be a little warmer than those. So I can still start with the Viridian, but I'm going to add, I think, I'm making this up as I go along, by the way, until I find the color I want, because I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to the ultramarine blue so that I get a green. That's not bad. But I think I also want a little bit more of that Viridian to make it just a little cooler. Okay. So it's warmer than those, but I want it to be ever so slightly cooler than the next one. That's going to be the one that's closest to us. But I can use the same color for this one too. I'm just not as, concerned. Right now, I'm not really concerned about the drawing of this and like this is how you make trees. I'm less concerned about that right now. I'm more concerned about the whole color thing and the process. So again, I don't want that hard edge. I'm going to soften that for now by just using plain water. And I'm going to kind of dot that a little bit. I just don't want to make a definitive edge there. That's all. Like that. I don't want a definitive edge. All right, so now this guy has to dry for a little bit. Although I'm saying that, I think I want this to be a little darker. Before I head out from here, I think I need to make it a little bit more pigment. Like I said, I tend to weenie out. I think there needs to be a little more pigment on here. So the nice thing about having that first blush of the lighter color is when I go over it with a darker, a richer amount, then I can kind of give the feeling of depth and whatever texture. It's kind of nice. Again, I don't want to get too caught up in that. Okay, and I'm going to let these dry and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. That didn't take that long, but I used the hair dryer. It would probably to take, about the same amount of time that it takes to have a cup of tea or go to the restroom or, just have a sandwich or something. It doesn't take that long for things to dry. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I want this tree to be a little bit darker. So now I am going to go towards the warmer colors, and that's going to be, I'm just going to use the ultramarine blue for now and add some yellow. Try this yellow, see what happens. Okay, it's kind of giving me a kind of a muted-y green. It's not bad. That's a nice green. That's a nice green. The other yellow will give me a slightly different green. Okay, so there's two. And then I just happen to have this nice dark green called pyrene green. It's really nice. And I could probably mix it with the ultramarine and just less of the yellows. So I think I'll start with the lighter one, see how that does. And that might be in places where the sun maybe is hitting it or there's newer growth. And this may be an over-exaggeration, to be honest, of the distance between this tree and this tree. But, you know, this has already taken me a pretty long time to do this video. So I'm just kind of trying to do my best here. Oh my gosh. Okay, then I'm going to use, I'm going to add more blue to that. I'm going to use another color. And see how it's coming forward? It's really cool how the illusion happens. I just think it's fascinating. It never fails to amaze me. And I'm still kind of going wet and wet with this, but I'm not putting it everywhere, so that that illusion of some, you know, these are maybe in front, whatever. We're letting your mind and your eye kind of fill in, the brain kind of fills in whatever. Here's that pyrene green. You don't have to have this. It's just a nice dark color. And like I said, you could do it with, probably make it with a little bit of ultramarine, a little bit of black even, and a little bit of yellow. Now, because this is all wet, it's all going to be kind of soft and nudie. Again, I don't want this edge down here to be that hard edged right now, so I'm going to soften it a little bit. My brush is damp and clear water, more or less. And then I could just kind of let it meld. All right, so the next thing that I want to do is I want the foreground to come forward a little bit. So I'm going to use some other greens. I just happen to have this bright green. You could do this with one of your cool yellow, green, I'm sorry, your cool blue, like cobalt, or the cerulean and the cool yellow. That'll give you something like that. I'm just going to mush it in. In fact, I think I might want to change brushes to one of the flats. That way I can use the shape of the brush to put these kind of marks in different ways, so it looks a little bit more organic, you know. I'm going to float some yellow in there because I liked that on one of the ones I had tried. I thought that really brings it closer. It brings the foreground closer, and it could be all kinds of reasons why. I mean, it doesn't have to be, I don't care, to be honest, why it's yellow. I just think it looks better. If I was doing a specific place and, you know, specific flowers or whatever, I guess I'd care more, but I don't care. And also, while this is wet, this kind of creates an illusion that the grass or the, you know, the underbrush or whatever it is growing over the bottom of that tree too. Now, as it goes back, I want to create again an illusion that the grass is this, it's the same grass, but it's going back. So I might put a little bit more blue. Unfortunately, I just got a little bit of white. I had white on the paper on my pan, and I didn't really want it, so it might give a weird kind of look. I probably could have done this in a different order. Maybe that would have been better. I don't know. And as you go, like, you have something to build on. And I'm looking at this upside down, so I'm hoping it makes sense. I think that went back a little too far.